Sometimes I wish that Oracle definitely got more love in the tarot tube community than it necessarily does. So let's have a chat about that. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, I'm Amanda. So today's video, I wanted to do a little bit like, it's kind of like a VR, but it's also kind of my own twist on it as well, to Lennoxs video, and make sure to tag her channel below. I believe, yes, I am pronouncing her name right, because she did say it. But she also said she wouldn't hold it against me, so I appreciate that, Lennox. So she's done some amazing videos. I'll make sure to tag them below. I devoured them, and I'm actually going back over them as well, because I feel like Lennox touches upon some like great topics that I don't even think I could personally articulate anyway. Again, we all take our own approach, which I totally appreciate and totally love. And that's why I love this community so much. But I wanted to talk about, like, why, in a sense, that Oracle doesn't really necessarily get the, I feel personally, the love that it does deserve. Because if you're new here and you don't know, I did start off originally reading Oracle and Angel cards. Now, obviously, as the years have gone on and my own personal development and excuse me, interests have gone on, that it has evolved and changed. So I feel like today's video, I'm going to touch upon like some decks that I might have used at the start, and what would have necessarily probably been what a lot of you might have experienced as far as decks go. And then kind of moving forward in the sense of why I do feel like they definitely are their own system, and why they should get a bit more love than what they necessarily do. Like, tarot definitely has far more love, in the sense of, obviously it has its own system and whatnot. So yes, it's going to be like a lovely eclectic mix of different things, but all Oracle. So starting off the video here, I'm going to talk about of Oracle, where I started and just flipped through this deck. Now, this is a Doreen Virtue deck, and this isn't my first Oracle deck. My first one was the Archangel Messages, I think, from Doreen Virtue, because I'm reading cards over 10 years now, definitely over 10 years now. Oh, well over 10 years, if not 12. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's quite some time I've been reading cards. Now, I did get this many years ago with a magazine called Mind, Body and Spirit magazine. Is it? It should be actually on it. Yeah, Mind, Body and Spirit. They don't do it anymore. I wish they did. Okay. It was very good. But I feel like a lot of us would have probably started off way back in the good old days, with probably angel cards, right? Or angel decks, because that's all I found anyway, personally, myself, when starting out, was just the angel decks. Now, I'll be honest, I struggled so bad with these. I found the images very difficult at the time to read intuitively. I know a lot of people are like, oh, when you read Oracle, you read it completely intuitive. You can use the guidebook. Tarot, in that sense, is a little bit more straightforward. I can see why most of you would enjoy it, is because, you know, you have your system, your structure, your layout. This card means this card means that, reversals and the whole lot. Whereas Oracles are kind of really, in one sense, personally, in my own opinion, open to interpretation as to how you see it, right? And so I started off with something similar to this. Now, the deck is there somewhere. This one was the easier one to grab, being completely honest. Plus, it's very similar to what I would have read anyway, because as you can see, you have your little picture, and then you have your keyword, key phrase, and then a little blurb at the end. Now, starting off, this is ideal. I didn't need any more than that, because now, for me personally, I did try and do bigger spreads with these. I'll get that deck in a minute. I actually didn't grab it, but I was always terrified of starting off with tarot. To be honest, I thought it was just far too complicated. I didn't think I could grasp it because, again, I'll touch upon this in another video, but I definitely struggled with, or found it difficult to read cards for myself and just interpret it. I think at the time I really found it hard to trust my own intuition. So as you can see, the artwork is completely different in each card. Like, it's not very cohesive. It doesn't blend. As newer decks go now, the images are far better, I personally think. Now, I still have great love for these because it just brings me right back to the beginning. And I was very much into angels, okay? So that's kind of really how it started. Like, I really loved angels and angel messages. And so, obviously, it just was a natural progression to get an angel deck. Now, I was gifted my first angel oracle. I don't believe, I'll definitely touch upon tarot myths in another video, or, you know, spirituality myths and things like that. I don't think you need to be gifted your deck. I was just fortunately gifted my deck. Every other deck nearly between here and then has been pretty much bought for the most part, right? So these are a great starting point, but I can see why necessarily it mightn't have gotten as much of the same love as tarot probably would have, because not everyone is into angels. Not everyone wants to follow the system. I can understand that. I can appreciate that. So staying on the topic of where I started, a couple of years down the line, I want to say 5 or 6 years from having read my angel cards and really getting into it, I will actually, hold on. Okay, I found it eventually. I did have that draw of wanting to learn tarot, but still too scared to lean into tarot. So I picked up this one, Angel Tarot Cards. I got the guidebook. I had a whole plan of how I was going ahead with this. I believe you can still get this deck, but it's just by Radley Valentine. We're not going to get into the whole Doreen Virtue thing because we're just not. It's really not that important. It's so long ago. It's so irrelevant today. But again, the images in this are a little bit better, I do find, than the Oracle. Did I still struggle with this? Yes. Does it kind of now, hindsight, follow Rider-Waite-Smith? Kind of. A little bit. I do still kind of stand by my thought that if you wanted to dive into tarot, maybe you're a little bit apprehensive, or you're a little bit scared or overwhelmed, because it can be overwhelming. Decks like these are really handy. They're very easy because then you have your keyword, your title. Now, there are name changes, so, you know. But again, today we have so many decks now that are tarot decks for beginners. They're great. So, again, you can see this is well loved. It has been used extensively, and I still love it to this day. I just don't use it as much because, again, I have, excuse me, other decks that I do feel fit that narrative. But starting off, they would have been kind of the decks that were just available to me and what I could get here in Ireland at the time with ease. Okay, this is your moment of reminder to hydrate. And look, you guys, it's water. It's not even coffee. I'm actually, being an adult, I'm hydrating properly. Did I have 2 cups before this already? Shh, mind your business, okay? Mind your business. This is a no judgment zone and we're not judging. If anything, you should be going, well done, man. Just 2 cups, that's very good. So, when the opportunity arose then to kind of learn Oracle, there was many suggestions. I did, of course, we were in the midst of being stuck in our houses. I had the time, I could invest the money and whatnot. This one came highly recommended, was the Energy Oracle by Sandra Ann Taylor. Now, where are the boxes? I don't know, because I keep it in this little box now, because this is a deck that I use to read for other people. So I learned to read cards for myself and for others because it was something I really wanted to learn to do. These are the backs. These are around with donkey's years, okay? They're around a really, really, really long time. I love this deck. It's one of my favorites. I would always recommend it for beginners, 100%. It's fantastic. Excuse me. And of course it holds such great, I don't want to say memories, because it's not like it's retired. It's just, it has a lot of meaning to me. But as you can see, the images are a bit more realistic, and I love the numbers and I love the key titles, and that's all that's on it. And I loved it, and I found even reading with it was absolutely fantastic. I love the artwork. It's something that I personally enjoy. I like the realism of it. I like the fact that the people look like people. I can relate to that. For me personally, I like that in an oracle deck when I'm using it for others. Because again, because I read for others as well, I have that what decks I'd use for readings for clients, and then what I would use for myself. And so I suppose I take a different approach on oracle decks, because some are like, right, what is just for me and what would I use for readings for others. So this is one that I started off using for myself because I needed to get familiar with it, and then I use it for others. So I don't use this one personally, but it covers all the things that I'm interested in. It still has the archangels, it has the chakras, but it also touches upon different things of everyday life, like anxiety, contracts, indecision. So it doesn't shy away, because I know oracle can have that sense of it's fluffy, or it's too gentle, or it's too kind, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Sometimes I feel like that when people say that, and this isn't to anyone at all, I'm not calling out anyone or nothing like that, but I know sometimes when it's said, it's because maybe tarot is a little bit more hard-hitting and oracle may not seem. I would disagree. I'll still stand on that hill, and I'll disagree with you, because not every oracle deck is fluffy. Are my angel ones here at the side? Yes, they would be of the fluffier nature. 100% I agree with you there. But not every oracle deck is fluffy. This one definitely isn't. I've definitely given some challenging readings where I'm like, how am I going to deliver that? How, and you do. And there's also a way and means around it. Now, again, this isn't like a flip through, but this is a beautiful deck. I love the way that, just for example, if you lay the cards out, now they are glossy. They're beautiful to read with. And the messages, because again, I take a very intuitive stance. You can use the guidebook 100%, but the way I've been taught and the way I've learned is trust my intuition. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, throw away the guidebook. Oh, listen, my book, Love or Heart, could never. I'm not throwing away any guidebook. I'll make you think I did, but I didn't. It's in the drawer. Trust me. Actually, it's not. It's in the box. I don't know. I don't know where the box is for this. So no, I don't need the guidebook for this. But do you know what I'm saying? A lot of us like to do deck studies as well. Again, another topic for another day. But as you can see, you can layer these so beautifully together. Some oracle decks I feel can be a bit overwhelming, especially the Dorian Virtues. There's too much writing on it, that it can get a bit overwhelming, and you're trying to add together words and key titles and all that jazz. So these would be kind of the ones that I would have started out with. I'll just tilt you guys a little bit. Would have started off with. I would highly recommend going with something that's very easy to read. I can do that in a different video. So moving on to how I feel oracle has evolved and changed, and I do think it can add more depth to a reading, and even on its own, you don't necessarily need a tarot for it. Okay, so starting off with a disconnect from oracle, which can happen. I remember seeing this, I think everybody knows at this stage, but if you're new here, I loved this deck when I seen it online on whoever's channel. I think it was Imogen's. She doesn't do YouTube anymore, but she shared this deck. I fell in love with it. I adored it. I got the deck and it just fell flat. It just didn't work how I thought it would in my mind. So I cleansed it, I flipped through the deck, and I put it up on my altar. And I left it there. It sat there for weeks, if not months. And then one day I felt that intuitive nudge to go on, try again. I'm like, I don't know. It's just not really working. Now, I will say, that my approach to Oracle is going to be different to everybody else here on TarotTube, as is your approach and Lennox's approach and whoever else, right? Everybody's approach is going to be completely different. I definitely take a very spiritual, probably woo-woo aspect. I still use that word, even though I don't even particularly like it. But anyway, intuitive, I said that. A very spiritual, like higher energy. And I don't mean that as like a high and mighty energy, as in it's very much of the psychic side. I'm very much a Pisces, so we can see where that leans to. Okay. So I was amazed that this didn't work right off the bat. Now, when I was learning Oracle, one thing I was taught that if keywords kind of throw us off, just using the images. Now, I know you could totally adapt this if you wanted to. I am not into modding my decks. I'm terrified of messing them up, and I don't want to buy a second one because I have this thing. If this one has my energy, now I have to reconnect with the other one. It's just how my brain works. But anyway, this was drawing me in, and I fell in love with it. I loved it. It was just my go-to after that. I was able to break away from the angel oracles that I was diving into, and I fell in love with this. The images and the art and the color is what spoke to me, and so this is something that I really reiterate to you. Just because maybe an oracle doesn't work right off the bat doesn't necessarily mean it's not an oracle for you. Sometimes it needs to sit in your space for a while to kind of soak that up and go, okay, now I'm ready to work with you. I get who you are. I want to talk to you. You know, that kind of way. I treat my decks like friends, okay? They're very personal to me. Each one of them serves a purpose for the most part, okay? So this one just took its time. It really wasn't messing about, but it took its time to work with me. And I think sometimes that's why maybe others might not like Oracle, is because with tarot, sometimes, you know, we can dive into the cards straight away, lay them out, and they work. We can interpret the message because, again, you know, structurally and the way the system is, each card has its own meaning. No matter what deck you get, you can still, as long as it follows, say, if you read Rider-Waite-Smith, it will follow those traditional meanings. Whereas Oracle, again, is open to interpretation. It can be absolutely what the guidebook says, and it can also be with your intuition. Not that tarot can't, absolutely can. That's a video for another day. But what I'm saying here with Oracle is sometimes, because there's no real system with Oracle, I'm moving these cards around, sorry, that it might be a little bit more challenging to interpret, and I can understand that. But it's actually, I found, far easier to interpret oracles than it was tarot. Now, you could use this as the tower, right? So there are like little snippets of tarot throughout different oracle decks. Now, this one is the Work Your Light. It's very starseed, it's very spiritual and celestial and a bit more out there than maybe some of the other decks that I will show here. The next one that's kind of along this lines, and it's one of my favorites, is the Circe Oracle. So as you can see, you start developing tastes and preferences in what you like in your decks. Now, I have many different interests and what I like, but I do tend to like the collage. I like Danielle Noel's artwork, so you can see that a lot of my decks would have this chakra cards, very important to me. And this one, I wouldn't say this one's fluffy. It's definitely more on the chakra side, as in like your third eye and your crown chakra. So that's super important to me because that's just how I work with the cards. So I do take very much it's not even a predictive, it's a very mindful approach to Oracle. And I do feel like you can get very in-depth readings with Oracle, because sometimes I think in tarot we're trying to fit too much into the structure and the system and the traditional meanings, that I feel like Oracle allows us to open up a bit more intuitively and allows us to see a little bit more beyond the structure in a system. I like that. While I like routine, I also like the freedom of being able to flow and see where my intuitive mind is taking me, what messages. Because again, for me, it's also working with ancestors and spirit guides and angels. It's a whole eclectic mix of different energies coming in for me. So I love the way Lennox does it from a very practical and logical and even intuitive. So she's able to weave all that. The way that my mind works is definitely more of the intuitive, flowy, maybe artsy side of it, as in the sense of it's kind of the art is speaking to me. Not that it doesn't to Lennox, by the way. Can I just say that? It's just because my mind isn't completely logical nor practical. Well, it is. I have practical moments, yes, but when I approach this kind of work, it's a very intuitive, flowy way, as in, like, for example, just, yeah, explain by showing, right? Explain by showing. Okay, so for me, jumper cards, again, talk about that another time. So I have my third eye. So in my mind, I'm hearing 3, okay? So for me, that's right, 3 cards. And then I feel like this one. So I'm going to pull this one. So as you can see, there's a lot of purple going on. This is a very purple deck. I love this. I'm here for it. 44. Oh my God, stop. So yeah, you can see already I'm going, okay, so these are numbers that I'm seeing already. We can see I have a lot of purple going on lately with my desk. We're going with it. So I have third eye. So illusion is everywhere. My straw is even purple. Do we see a theme here? My jumper is purple. You can see that in the sense of, and sometimes I find it hard to articulate for you guys, is I very much lean into my intuition as much as my intuitive side will allow me, as in, because my ego pops up as much as anyone else. So as you can see, I'm very intuitive at the moment today. And so I'm able to flow with that, and I'm able to lean into it. Again, our ego's there. It serves a purpose, right? Sacred shapes, so masculine, feminine, and matter. So part of me is kind of going, okay, right, I'm not really understanding that right now. That's okay. We don't need to right now. Angel guidance, you are supported. So again, my angels are very, very important to me and how I work. But I prefer this artwork to Doreen Virtue's cards. Again, it's very much intuitive. And then I start going, okay, right. When I'm doing a big reading, I don't do them very often anymore. But as you can see, you can get a whole reading just from 3 oracle cards alone. You don't necessarily need to have tarot. I do think tarot adds depth into it. But with the way that I would do it is I actually sometimes prefer to do a reading with oracle and then add tarot. I know a lot of people do it reversed, so as in do tarot and then add oracle. But I start with oracle and then add the tarot on top of it, as in the tarot adds to the reading. Whereas I know a lot of people reverse it and add oracle, so the oracle adds meaning or depth to the reading. So you can take a different approach. That's just personally how I do it and how I kind of do it for myself. I tend to actually pull my oracle card first in the morning and then my tarot. I might read the tarot for, again, it's all adapting and adjusting. But as you can see, I tend to just go more and lean in with the oracle because I feel it allows me to flow and I'm not trying to fit certain meanings, and sometimes I can be a little bit too, right, this is what this card means in tarot, it has to mean that, and that's not necessarily the case. Now, again, you might be watching this going, man, that is not my style. That's cool. I have lots of decks that might be your style. I'll show you 3 more and you might finish this and go, none of those are my style. That's totally okay. Share in the comments what kind of style you are. So, moving on from that. I love this deck, Sacred Rebels. It's so, so good. Now, remember when I was saying about guidebooks, right? And they were, when you're learning, it's all like, oh, throw away the guidebook. Trust your intuition. You know, the guidebook is all about what the author has put their meaning into the cards. Yes. And I think it's also important to see what the creator or author intended for the cards to mean. It's super important. It can add to the meaning of your card. Okay, so let's not dismiss the guidebook. I really don't like that. I hate when, well, I don't hate it, but I really dislike when you're learning the cards, like, oh, or angel readings, throw away the guidebook. Why? Because they were probably taught that. So here I am trying to change the narrative. No, I'm not changing anything. But what I'm saying is, it's totally okay not to throw away the guidebook. Totally fine. This deck. Oh, I can never put into words how much I love this deck. It's fantastic. It's so different. It's very unique. Again, very much up there in that intuitive state of mind and leaning into I have to be careful with this now on YouTube, but because there is a bit of nudity in this deck. It's not much. Intuitively, this speaks great. The guidebook, the two of them together, married together, merged together, beautiful. Alana Fairchild, fantastic. So we'll just say, for example, number 6. I've probably gone to that a few times. Shock of the new. And then you can see there's a whole description here and a healing process of what you can dive into. Do you know how much depth and value you can get from just one card in this deck? Huge, immense, just amazing, right? So for example, if I'm looking at this, okay, so here, this is popping out. Stirring at the deepest level within you. Something new will break through in the process of this birth. Maybe a shock to you. Okay? And then here, this one's popping out. Don't be nervous if the rubble of change turns into a mighty roar that rocks boats, bursts forth as novel ideas and changes things in a way that is out of your control. This is life happening. Free fall into it. And as you can see then, so you might look at this and go, okay, I see the big shift of new birth. Right, what does that mean for me? And you can journal and you can dive into it even deeper. Sorry, I'm not trying to make this overly long. Another one, just because it's new in my collection and I do want to talk about this, and I'll touch upon another one, is The Witch's Way Home. Oh my goodness me. Now, I haven't worked with it overly a lot. Overly a lot? No. That's not right English. A lot. Love it. I like this artwork. This artwork currently, right now, actually speaks to me. And it works with a lot of my tarot decks. So sometimes I try to already in my mind work it with a tarot deck. Then I'm like, okay, where does that fall? Where does that connect with? I love this. Now, I also follow Emma on Instagram, so she's a fantastic creator. And I like that witchy element because I'm diving very much into that side and pagan side, although she's very much witchy. Anyway, on topic, meant. This one intuitively is gorgeous and it has all the things I like. So that's what I feel like where you're at an added advantage now if you're wanting to dive into Oracle and you're probably like, well, I don't like this deck because it's too about animals. Okay, well, you bought a deck on animals. Find the deck that speaks to your soul, okay, and start off with that. This one I love. It has all the things that I love, like a summer card, an air card, other dimensional beings. Yeah, sure, I'm here for this because I like all this stuff. Winter, the spirit world, there you go. Embody the earthly witch, remember your gifts, fire, and then it has like angels and like inner strength, worlds, community. Just it has everything that I would want in a deck. So if I was to only have to pick one, this maybe the seriously would come with it. But these ones help keep me grounded and rooted. I do think it's important to have a deck that helps intuitively lift you up, right? And then another deck that helps ground you as well. It's super important. The guidebook is very good. Now, another one that I do want to talk about just quickly, just to wrap it up, is the Solitary Witch Oracle. Now, as you can see, I do have a particular taste and style. I will talk about affirmations another day because I do feel like they can add a lot of depth into a reading. These ones are great. They're like little works of art. Do I feel like these would work great as a bigger reading? Yes and no. You could, but I don't. I feel like these are great little reminders. So as you can see, not every deck is going to fit every aspect or every interest of yours, and that's fine. I just wanted to show a wide variety. Well, I wouldn't say it was a wide variety, but a few decks that I personally love in my own practice and my own readings, and you can get a sense of like what my style and what my taste is. But just know that there's definitely a deck there for everyone, just like there is a tarot. But you will notice that your taste and what you like will change over time, and that's okay. I do feel that Oracle can add a lot of depth and insight just as well as tarot. Maybe, dare I even say it, a little bit better. I think because we're not stuck on the structure. Now, this one obviously has some form of a structure, as in the sense that it is very much of the witchy element. So it would run with the Sabbats and different witchy aspects. Now, if that's not your jam, you don't have to use decks like this. I just wanted to end it on this one because I really love this deck. But I do feel like Oracle can add great value, great depth, and great insight. And I hope this video made sense. Now I'm overthinking it. Anyway, but yeah, I do think that there are many great Oracle decks out there that can add so much to your reading, to your everyday life, to even helping you make decisions. Some of them can be very insightful in that sense. And I do hope to show more Oracle deck love moving forward. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Remember, stay magical. And if you enjoy this kind of video, don't forget to hit the like, bell, and subscribe. I'd love to have you part of the family. We're pretty awesome here. Oh, and remember, stay magical, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.